son, and I've been at our company literally as long as my son has been alive. So, so I have literally grown up both personally and professionally doing what I do and doing it at Rocket. So I started in 2007. And for anybody who knows what happened shortly after that, young college kid coming out into a career, wondering if this was really the right move. A lot of that happened in '08 and '09. But it was a really good learning time. So I've been at Rocket since 2007. I've done numerous different things for the company. I've run teams as a director. Right now, I run a team as a sales manager, which is a little bit different. We'll get into, kind of some of the initiatives that we're working on now. Um, I've done our VIP lending with super high level clientele that we've had. So I've kind of run a gambit of different things for the company, and I can tell you candidly right now, what we've created and what we're doing, it's the best it's ever been for a loan originator who has a good self-sustained organic business. We've created something where it's truly a mesh of everything we would want as an originator. And it's a great blend of what you get in the brokerage world with what you also get at a retail lender, and it kind of pulls all of it together to make it really good. So been at the company for a long time, done a lot of different things. If you guys, there's always the question, especially in the real estate world, everybody loves signatures and long email signatures. And we love to talk about, just what we've done. And I think one of the ways we build credibility a lot of times between realtors and originators and stuff like that is just looking at a production scale. So, um, my team of 6 people does about 100 million a year in production. It's 100% organic, so we don't take any business from Rocket at all. We just do it through building relationships with real estate agents. Everybody on my team uniquely has done it via the phone. So we've met agents all over the country. I have 31 state licenses. Most of my team is pretty well licensed up, and um, we've done it through the internet and through meeting people. We've maintained those businesses and we've built them. And right now we're working on a strategy to help us become more local and work in our backyard while running alongside our partners, nationally as well. So a little bit about myself.
Yeah, and so you got in at an interesting time, right? Where I mean, literally the bottom was falling out of the industry, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, there was an abundance of inventory. I mean, I can only imagine because I was buying homes in Detroit around that time, and you could buy a house for $1,000. You
Yeah.
could actually buy homes for $500 in that Detroit area and stuff like that. And when you went there, it looked like a war zone, right? But then you got downtown and there was this one Rocket Mortgage building, and now you guys have kind of taken over. So, like the growth in that, right? And for our talk track today, right, we're talking about a long term sustainable brand and how we were building that because most of your business is organic, even though Rocket Mortgage has a big online presence, it's generating a lot of business. You guys have a lot of leads and stuff there. You've had to do the same thing that real estate agents have had to do as well to be able to get that repeat business and stuff. So when we talk about kind of this long-term building this sustainable brand, right? Like how have you done this with real estate professionals and stuff across the country? What kind of talk tracks do we want to highlight on that?
Yeah, I think what we've done as a company is very similar to what you should do as a business owner on a smaller scale as an agent too. We moved our entire company to downtown Detroit in 2010 because we saw a massive need to improve the city. Our owner, Dan Gilbert, believes in a for more than profit philosophy. So everything we do, we have obviously creating good business decisions that generate revenue. But we also try to find ways to do it where we can also leave things better than we found them and do more than just make money. So that's why we moved the company down to the city. We've hosted the NFL draft, which would have never happened if we didn't come downtown and the city wasn't a safe place with retail. Retail didn't exist when you were buying houses down here.
Right.
We now have a Gucci store. We have a Under Armour store. We have a Nike store. We have all of this stuff in the main corridor now that exists. And a lot of it has to do with what we did as a company in 2010. It was creating a presence, investing in the community, and trying to pull other people alongside of us to do the same thing. And now, luckily, Dan and our company and our team members who get out and invest our time in the city, we're creating a huge recognition and a great presence because we're visible. And so for me, the way that I've found the best way that I can support an agent, and the way that I've seen the most success is by creating a pedestal for my partner. For me, I don't have to run in the forefront. I will have business that comes to me, of course, through my network and people that I've met, but primarily my business comes from being the most trusted asset that a real estate agent has. And when I have a true partner who wants to see me succeed and I also want to see them succeed, and there's that mutual relationship, not just a transaction, but I genuinely want to see them and their family do well, and they want the same for me. I don't need my name out there. I don't need my name on everything. I don't need to be the pedestal. I need them to be the pedestal. And so the agents that I've worked with, when we're talking about building a sustainable business, they have a really good mix. And I'd love your input on this too, Larry, but they have a really good mix of time on the business versus time in the business. And they really spend a lot of time thinking, like a business owner, how am I showing up? What does it look like to the public around me? What avenues am I looking to reach these people? Um, and most agents that I work with who do a really good job of building a sustainable business, they really spend most of their mornings before people are awake or most of their evenings when people are settling down doing a lot of their paperwork, and they spend most of their day during the day meeting people because it's a people business. And so they have a
Yeah.
really, really good split. And it's very defined when they're going to be doing it, how they're going to be doing it, as far as what their split in the business versus on the business is. So, from your level of success and what you teach, Larry, how do you guys define with your group like how much time should really be spent in the business versus on the business?
So this all comes back, and we do a lot on business planning. Even though like we have classes, we have fast cap, right? Like we have several programs. I would say that most real estate professionals don't have a business plan. So they go into the day taking whatever gets thrown at them and then having to be satisfied with that. When you and there's not a black or white answer, because if somebody's goal is 10 deals a year versus 50 deals a year, those are different business plans,
Yeah.
right? And this is where, when we teach to build a business plan, we have 3 or 4 pillars of business. This might be your center of influence. This might be lender relationships. Not this might be bank owned relationships, open houses, Zillow leads, like whatever it might be. There's no right or wrong. And then each of those have a sub plan, right? Like, okay, I'm going to do Zillow leads. This is going to be my follow up process in order to get the highest conversion ratio. This is my open house plan. I'm going to do one a month, and I'm going to set out 50 different signs, and it's going to be in this area, and then I'm going to do this, right? If it's your center of influence, it might be being on the PTA board, joining your board of directors on your kids' swim team, maybe your team mom or you're a coach or something like that. And so that way you're a constant presence in the community, right? So every one of those has a different plan. And when you create that plan, now you break that down so you know what to do each day, each week, each month in order to not just hit, but exceed your goals at the end of the time, at the end of it. But to your point, we get so wrapped up working in our business that we forget to plan, come back to that business plan and work on our business. So this is where the right accountability partners, masterminds, and things like that, constantly bringing that back up. Like, Jared, look, this was your goal, man. Are you on track? Right? Like Jared's business is much different than last year because we were slammed in his area last year, and now he's had to convert to where now he's cold calling, prospecting to pick up the shift in his business and stuff there. And I know this just because I talk to him regularly and stuff there. But hopefully that gives you some insight. Is like it starts with that business plan, and then that will tell you, okay, how much time what are the action items that we need to do to accomplish that goal? And that's where the marketing plan, okay, I'm going to be visible in my community and stuff like that. And each one of those has a different plan.
For sure. So and that's how you can tell that we're aligned on a lot of things because I figured you would kind of narrow it out like that. And that's exactly what when you run stuff like you do and you have you have this call and you have all of the different things that you're doing, There is no way you could do that without spending a good amount of time sitting down, obviously leveraging your wonderful team that works with you too, and your assistant who's, the best asset you have. But you
Yes.
have to sit down and plan. And even having an assistant, you can't say, "Hey, I just need you to do these things," and let them go. You have to sit down. You have to look every morning. Hey, here's the plan for the day. Here's what's on my calendar. Can we move this? Can we do this? Can we structure this? Hey, can we prepare for this next week? It's like you're almost a maestro of an orchestra, and you're having to
Hmm.
conduct your business and run things, but you can't be the maestro without having a plan. And so one of the things I think you had mentioned that I deal with in our world too, just like the originators I work with, if you're not sitting down at the end of every year by October, November, not December, but towards the end of the year and thinking about your following year, and then sitting down and creating buckets. Okay, marketing. Okay, under marketing, how do I want to show up in the community? What does that mean? Okay, lead sources. Okay, where can I generate lead sources? Okay, how can I market to those? What should I be doing? And then you pull out your calendar for the next year and you start going, okay, this month I want to take from my master plan and do these things. And then create a progression and then create tasks that you're going to do every month throughout the year. And then at the end of the month, you go back and reevaluate. How did it go? Should I keep going? Should I change directions? What's coming up next month? So to your point, I think that that's whether you're doing this part-time, you're doing it full-time, you're getting leads from whatever sources. I think having a plan is one of the most difficult things to do because it holds you accountable, but it's also one of the best things you can do to be organized and make sure that you plan your day. And then when you wake up in the morning, you can spend your time looking at what your day is going to look like. And then, like we said earlier, spend, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. out doing things, meeting people, investing in your business. So I think having a plan and executing it at a very high level is one of the best tips. And you had mentioned that we have a call full of people who are team leaders and folks who have been doing this for a long time. I think the hope of all of this conversation, and I experience this a lot, there's a lot of things that we know we should be doing, or a lot of things that we've heard over the years that we forget about. And so hopefully, as we go through some of this stuff, some of it may not be a very fresh reminder, a brand new concept, but hopefully a lot of it is stuff where you can go, you know what, I used to do that, or I remember this, or you know what, I fell away from that, but maybe I should get back to that. And I think a lot of times after we've been doing this for a really long time, the amount of new, fresh things that you find are a lot smaller than the reminders that you get that bring you back to doing things that found you success before. So more than anything, I hope that's what we walk away from this chat with is just a lot of things that will allow us to realign and then get back to some of the things that really find success.
Well, we talk about this a lot is that, success isn't sexy, it's consistent.
Yes.
Right? Because, and you and I even spoke about this, there's all these bright, shiny lights like, oh, there's this new lead source. Oh, look at these people that got results from this, right? When we already created this plan and that doesn't necessarily align with our plan. So then it dilutes our plan because we're over here running in this direction, trying to start something new versus working on what we know works and coming after it and adding value and contacting people every single day over and over and over again.
Yeah, and one of the things that I drew a couple notes out just on some things that I thought were really interesting to touch on. And one of the things I did recently, I'm a member of the chamber locally, and I try to network locally the best I can and meet a lot of folks within the community. And I recently met a real estate agent who I did another Zoom call with, just connection through the chamber, and we sat and had coffee in our houses and talked. And one of the things that she said to me was really interesting. She worked for a big brokerage and there were a lot of things going on that made her feel like she didn't have ownership and control over her business, and wasn't really doing it in a way that she wanted. And so she made a very conscious shift and really grew her team very small, very quaint, but her strategy was very simple. And it's actually found her quite a bit of success. And she doesn't pay for leads. She doesn't have a lot of corporate partnerships. She doesn't do a lot of that stuff. She realized the fundamental shift for her was she realized that her work and her life fold hand in hand. She loves what she does, and I think a lot of us are in that boat. I love the feeling of helping families. I love the feeling of being trusted by my partners, by my clients. that brings me a sense of purpose, and that's why I love what we get to do. Um, the impact we have on people's lives is incredible. And what she did was she took that passion and that impact and she said, you know what? I'm going to stop spending a ton of money buying leads and doing all these calls and what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil it down to the relationship. And I'm really going to make sure my life and my business go hand in hand. So what did she do? She started tracking every connection she had. She started being conscious of their birthdays. She started being aware of holidays. She started being aware of their kids' names. She started being aware of whether or not they had dogs. She started to be aware of when the last time they talked to her. She started to be more overt with the fact that she let her friends and family and her contacts know that her business needed to be 100% word of mouth. That way, she could take out 70% of what most agents do, which is developing the business, marketing, and doing all these things. And then she can take that 70% and pour it into relationships, strengthening relationships. But the only way she could do that was with the support of her friends, her family, and her network. And what ended up happening was her Pilates friends ended up being her best referral resources and her best friends. The PTOs and the boards and the golf that she did and her friends that she her life and her business ended up revolving around each other, and she lives and works in harmony together because she doesn't always focus on the next shiny thing. She stops, she slows down, and she says, okay, how can I be present and be a real human being with every person that I work with and make them feel valuable and valued? And her business has grown exponentially that way. And she said, listen, it was hard, but one of the things we talked about, Larry, was building a sustainable business that lasts the test of time versus chasing the quick dollar. And I think you have to have principles of both. But if this is a business that you want to be in for a very long time and you want to really love what you do, you have to find a way to transition from, cold calling, lead sources, and you have to find a way to eventually work towards relationships, partnerships, being a resource, and be getting to a point where you can just answer the phone instead of constantly being outbound and doing things. And I think the way to do that is to not let any interaction, any relationship, any situation with a client ever go by without you recognizing it. And a great example of this is, do you have a client who's got a surgery coming up? Do you have a client that just had a family member pass? Do you have a client that just mentioned a really tough situation with their kid? And do you follow up with them next week? I think one of the keys, which seems obvious, but I think a lot of people really, really, really miss this opportunity is being a real, genuine person, both in your regular life and as a professional.
Mm.
And I kid you not, this is one of the things I attribute probably 80+% of my success to. And it boils down to thinking of those things, being a real person, being present on the phone call, not thinking about the next thing you have to do, but really cherishing those relationships. The best people that I've ever worked with remember those things, follow up with those clients, and they don't focus on a closing being, here's your closing gift, great to meet you, great to see you. Like, no, they focus on that being a long-term friendship, a relationship. What does this client like to do? Oh, they like to play pickleball. Cool. I'm not a big pickleball person, but I'm going to put a reminder on the calendar month out and just say, hey, I had some friends mentioning pickleball. I know you remember. I remembered you love pickleball. Can you take me sometime? When are you going next? Can you show me the ropes? You know what I mean? Like trying to find those little things that hang out. Now, you're not going to be able to do that with every client you have. That would be a little crazy. But there are all these connections that you establish with everybody you talk to and everybody that you work with, where you could be building a network of friends, family, clients that all intertwine with each other. And eventually, when you do it the right way and people realize how much you truly care about them and the relationship, then they will start to open their ear to, you mentioned you might want to move. One of my best friends, Larry, is an agent. I mean, we just played pickleball last week. It's terrible, but he said he wanted to learn, and he hit me up. I'm going to have you talk to Larry. Not a pushy guy, but if you want something in the real estate world, that's the guy you got to talk to.
And this is where it's not one thing that you do. This is where the whole plan comes into place. That's one aspect. Now, if you're connected with those folks on social media and you have a social media marketing plan, that's not just talking about real estate so that way you're social media spam, but you're posting pictures of your family, what's going on, you're commenting on other things, right? Like that's all part of your business plan. It's not that you just made this rapport and relationship and you hope and pray. It's that you're constantly coming back up in front of people and they're like, damn, like I really want, like, God, I got to reach out to Chris more, right? Like, I just want to be on top of their mind. And I tell a lot of agents this: look, you're not ready to join us? Great. I want to be like your spare tire. I don't have to be here all of the time. I just want to be here when you need me, when I can help you increase production, decrease cost, build wealth. And that's where our social media plan comes into play with testimonials from you guys. Success story is how many listings an agent got in his first couple of months. Melissa Bruz, example of turning one transaction that was assigned to her into a total of 3 transactions up there in Denver, right? All of those are testimonials. It's proof that you're adding value to other people and helping them grow their business.
100%. And I have a great agent that I work with in Pennsylvania. She was a school teacher for a long time, and so she got to know the community. But one of the interesting things she does, which is, I mean, she is wildly successful compared to the area. It's a very small town, and everybody knows her. And how does she do it? Well, she closes a loan for somebody who works at, Cummins Corporation. She calls me and she says, "Hey, I got 3 more people from there that are looking to buy too. Can you call these guys?" Why? Because that one person, she developed a relationship. It became an advocate for her, and she does a lot of these things. She cares, she's involved. And to your point about the plan, Larry, you can be a great human being, but still behind the scenes be tactical with your relationships, So like the social media aspect, I gave you that example of pickleball. Well, one of your posts could be, from real estate to pickleball, and then your underneath caption could be, um, you know, we were stressed out and working through inspections, but what a great closing. Now I got you beating my butt out on the pickleball a month later, pickleball court a month later, hashtag best friends, and doing things like that to make your clients who are, on your socials understand that you love them and you want to do things with them and you're a real person. One of the guys that is hugely successful on the East Coast, throws that I work with a ton, throws parties every quarter, and he invites every client and every local professional, every title agent that he works with. And honestly, it's like a couple hundred people that show up at his house every quarter. But he does toga parties and he does all of these things that are incredibly memorable. And his business is 100% organic. I think he's done, I think he's at about 14 million in the for Q1 this year in production. I might be undercutting, it might be 18, but he does all of his business through being incredibly memorable and being somebody that people really just love to be around. And it attracts other people. And now his clients become his friends. And now when somebody mentions real estate, they're like, "Oh, you gotta call Chris. Because once you do a deal with them, like you can come to these parties with me and they're incredible. Like, oh my God, we have so much fun." And so I think it's a way of creating a network where you show clients appreciation, but you don't just do it once. You be a human being, but you can very much be tactical behind the scenes on how often you communicate, when you communicate, you know. And a lot of us in real estate, it's you don't get to a point where you have thousands of clients where you're like overwhelmed for quite a while. And then by the time you've been that successful, hopefully you have systems in place to help you keep in touch with them. But if you don't have systems in place, trying to go back later and create them becomes a lot more difficult the more successful you get.
So a couple of things that I just want to point out, and I want you guys to take some notes on here as we're talking about this, because what we're sharing is not rocket science, right? It's showing up, it's adding value and doing the right things every single day, right? And so all of the examples that we've given are specific to those particular agents. You have to find something that you love to do, that you're passionate with, and it's going to make your job a lot easier, first and foremost. Richard's plan is going to look different from Jared's, which is going to look different from Robert's, because they all have different time, different energies, different focuses. So find the line that works well with you. Number 2 is we don't have to work with everybody, right? Like Don't try to be this jack of all trades and work with everybody and a master of none. Like, turn away business. You can tell early on if it's not a good fit for you,
Yeah.
right? Just had this conversation with an agent that was like, if I don't have this by this time, then I'm out of here. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you should go. Like, maybe this isn't the right fit for you at this point in time. If you don't see the value of everything that we're doing, everything that we're building as a community, I'm fully confident that the business is coming and it goes in these cycles and waves. But we have to make sure that you can sustain until that business comes, right? And that's where you should be in fast cap. You should be attending these masterminds. Should be figuring out what your business plan is. So, first and foremost, find something that you love to do, right? You don't have to work with everybody. And then three, the people that you decide to work with, make sure they're a reflection of you. Do they have a business plan? Do they know what your business plan is? Can you hold each other accountable? Right? Do you enjoy spending time with them? Going and, I just got back from hiking Big Bend with a group of, like 12 of us and stuff like that, right? Like, would you want to go and spend time with some of these people? The reason I do business with all of you guys is because when we go to these masterminds and 5 stars, like, I want to hang out with you, right? I don't have to, I want to. And this is the beautiful part of what we're building here, right? Sometimes if I stand close enough to Latanya, right, she'll let me like rub up on her Gucci belt or something like that. And I'll be like, dang, I feel special today, right? And this is where, again, it's just kind of building this community and then bringing other people up with us, right? Because we have a unique opportunity here to help drive a lot of business to folks across the country. So I do want to get into some other topics. Chris, any
Yeah.
closing topics? Like, if you guys haven't picked up on some of these nuggets of what he's sharing, how he's built his business, how he's connected with some of the other top real estate professionals in the country, building business in the same way, you guys missed the whole point of kind of this talk track and stuff here. Anything else on building your center of influence and stuff that you have to leave with them before we jump into our next topic, Chris?
I would just say transactional versus relational. Transactional, you're always focused on finding the next transaction, and you have to do things to create those transactions. When you're relational, the transactions start to come to you. So, and early on in your career, you may have to start transactional, but your whole goal should always be to be able to move towards being relational. And that just becomes being a real person, being in touch with your clients, cherishing the relationships you have, and genuinely focus on being somebody that people like to be around and finding good relationships with the right people, to your point. So I would leave us with that. And then, we can definitely, I know we wanted to cover a little bit about what Rocket's doing, locally, and kind of a little bit of the mission. And then we also want to talk a little bit about some of the acquisitions and how that stuff can come together. And I think those two topics probably transition very well together.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk, right? Because Rocket, when was Rocket founded?
Rocket's about 40 years this year, I believe. We have our 40-year anniversary party this year. So
Okay.
it'll be 40 years. Some people are like 40? Yeah. 40 years ago here in Michigan, we started boots on the ground, lending locally. And the big move that Dan made where he went all in was actually our desire to go online. Dan put everything into becoming online because he realized that was the future during the big tech boom. So we existed well before online. We were a local lender throughout Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. We had a lot of physical locations, and that's how we started. So 40 years in business, transitioned and went all in onto local, or went all in onto online and creating an ability to help people in all 50 states, which obviously was huge for our business. Dan sold our company to Intuit, which is where the Quicken Loans name came in because they had QuickBooks, so they co-branded with Quicken Loans. And then 2 years later, after buying our company for like $333 million, they went, "Oh, this isn't our business. God, take it back. Somebody, please." And Dan said, "Well, I'll give you 70 million for it." And they said, "Deal." And they sold it back to him. So that was kind of a huge springboard for Dan, was bringing the company back. And then, after so many years of paying naming rights to QuickBooks and Intuit, we said, "All right, we're like a huge company now. We don't need to we don't need the name." And we needed an opportunity to brand all of our businesses. So that's where we transitioned into Rocket. Um, to go a little bit further onto that, what we're doing now is kind of an evolution of the business. So we started off for the first 30 years of our company being very refinance focused. Um, Online, that is a very, very good, easy business model because if we can create a great process online and refinance people's homes where it's the transaction is us and the borrower, it's easy for us to be able to do that and reach people online and do it at a level where, I mean, shoot, we're JD Power Awards, Client Satisfaction Awards. In the refi game, we did very, very well. Where we realized we were missing a huge opportunity was being available to be a great lender to help with purchases. And so, about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, Adam Speck, who's one of our executive VPs, rolled out Purchase Nation, which was an entire region of folks focused solely on purchase. From there, I helped roll out one of our first regions about 4 years ago that was real estate agent centric. So, our main goal was to provide a better experience for real estate agents, become the obvious preferred lender for real estate agents everywhere, and do it in a way where the fact that we're not local and we're online is fine because the agent's the pedestal. We just need to be able to be so supportive that an agent can focus most of their time on doing the one thing that they should be really, really good at. And I guarantee Larry already knows what it is. It's sales. If you can focus most of your time on sales and marketing and being and meeting people, and you don't have to worry about the back end or operational stuff, now you can be successful because you have more time to meet people and you have more time to be present. You have more time to do those things. Um, that actually evolved into what we're doing now, which is Rocket Local. Rocket Local, we founded at the end of October 22. Rocket Local is the best thing that's ever happened to our company. It's back, actually almost a revert back to Rock Financial days where we were lending locally in the community and we were boots on the ground. Because that's exactly what we're doing. We're hiring real estate agents locally all over the country, or I'm sorry, we're hiring mortgage loan officers all over the country, local in communities to represent our brand, take part in local charity events, be present in the community, go to the chambers, and create a physical presence around the country for Rocket. What that allows us to do is take really skilled local loan officers because we're not hiring anybody in communities that have little experience or have not proven themselves. We are only hiring loan officers who have a organic established business because that means people trust them enough to send them business, which is kind of a foolproof way of deciding who is really good to work with. Um, so we're hiring loan officers all over the country, locally in the community, and when they create relationships, they can back end all of the mortgage related stuff into our process, which is refined, it's easy, creates easy closings. And in Rocket Local, we have our own processing, underwriting, and closing team members. So we don't work with a round robin million different people like some of you may have been used to in the past where you didn't know who the processor was going to be. I know exactly who the processors are that I work with. I know who the underwriters are. I work hand in hand with their team leaders. If we need exceptions or workarounds, I can call them on Teams or Slack. They'll pick up the phone and talk through it with us. And because of that, we've created a process where I don't even have to request a rush closing unless we need to close in 2 weeks or less. If I need to close in 14 days or less, I have some folks I can reach out to. They'll review the file. They'll say, yep, it's clean enough. Or they'll say, hey, average turn time in this area for an appraisal on a VA loan's a little lengthy. We'll do our best. Everything else with the client looks good. Here's the expectation to set. And I've actually closed 6 transactions in a week or less in the last 6 months. Literally 6, 7 days. I can send you snippets of the loans with appraisals, by the way. Not not appraisal waivers. Not, I mean, we had appraisers out there 24 hours, back within 48, conditionally approved within the same day. All documents cleared, CDs out 4 days prior to closing. Incredible stuff. So
And and
that's
this is where, like, as agents, right? We also preach, you guys all, when you're driving business to LOs, to title and escrow, etc., you guys are all adding value to others. Make sure that your partners are adding value to you, right? Are they closing on time? Are they delivering? Are they do what they say? You know, are they helping with marketing and advertising? Are they driving business back to you, right? Or is this a one-way relationship at this point in time? And that's how you will build the, like, that's how you add value, even in the REO and institutional space, right? Is by making the lives easier for your clients and who you want to do more business with. Your partner should be doing the same for you guys at that same time.
That's
And
the
so,
most,
yeah.
yeah.
And so now, like, you know, Rocket obviously been around for 40 years. Yeah, right. You've experienced a ton of growth. And man, you guys been making the news a lot here lately. You've now acquired Redfin. Right. Well, you're in the acquisition process of Redfin, Mr. Cooper, who is the fourth largest lender in the country. Right. And what do you say? Like, you know, you hear this a lot in the real estate community when Zillow makes acquisitions. Oh no, they're going to start their own brokerage. They're going to do this. They're going to do that, right? Because Mr. Cooper, Redfin are accountable for a number of leads. Like, you guys planning on opening up your own real estate shop or what over there? Yeah.
Man, we have no desire to be a real estate agent. And for us, that would be like business suicide. If we
Yeah.
wanted it, Keller Williams was just up for sale. I mean, we could have just, I mean, we spent 11 billion. We could have bought Keller. You know, we could have bought somebody else if we wanted to. But we don't want to be real estate agents because you alienate everybody else that we could work with in the industry. The one thing that we want to do, and this is a great example, when Dan last went all in, we went online and we became the largest lender in the entire country. Dan went all in right now with an all cash stock deal on Redfin and Mr. Cooper. This is another transformational opportunity for our company, just like we've had in the past. And we don't miss. We're very calculated, we're very dialed in, and we know exactly what we want and why we want it. Um, I am not privy to a crazy amount of insider stuff because everybody that is has signed NDAs and the deals aren't done yet. Here's what I can speak to. Um, we have tried, and this goes into the Rocket Local, why we've created this personal experience, why I mean, our controllable anticipated closing dates met per contract year to date is over 96%. Like in Rocket Local, not the whole company, but Rocket Local, what we do, our controllable ASDs met 96 plus percent year to date. Doesn't mean mistakes don't happen. We're human beings. And sometimes there's stuff that happens with transactions, but 96% of the time year to date, we have been at the closing table, at the contract date, when it has been within our control. That's a pretty incredible stat.
That is pretty great.
That's it,
That is,
and we're a $2 billion part of the company, by the way. So we're actually Rocket Local is actually a pretty sizable piece of Rocket's business. We've done very well with growing this business channel. So to be at 96% is incredible. This month we're all close to 100%, which is like never been done. It's that's pretty unique. And so when you look at the Redfin and you look at the Mr. Cooper, right now as a business, we buy every lead that exists in the market, believe it or not. We buy every mortgage lead that exists. The grade A's and B's we do a lot with, the grade C's and D's, they go into our follow-up marketing stuff, and we honestly we don't do a crazy amount with those, but we own every lead that exists. But when people look to go buy a home, where do they go first? Do they fill out a loan app? And you guys would love if they did this, but do they go fill out a loan app and go, let me make sure my financing's in order first. I want to make sure I have everything in line before I even start looking. No, unfortunately they don't. Well, fortunately for me, they don't, because then you guys can connect me with them when they come to you first. But a lot of times they go online, they start looking at houses, they start reaching out to agents, they talk to their aunt who's a real estate agent and they start looking at what's possible, what's out there, what can I get for my money? So think of this. Does Redfin have real estate agents? Yeah, they have 2,200. Like that's and they're most West Coast and they're all over the place, and that's fine. What happens and how that model looks down the road, we'll see. But we didn't do this for the real estate agent aspect. We're not a real estate company. We already own Rocket Homes, which is almost the same business as Redfin. It's an online platform. We have partners through Rocket Homes. We're not interested in the real estate side. What we're interested in is 50 million views per month to Redfin. And not halfway down the funnel of search. It's at the top of the funnel of search. The widest part of the funnel where people are just dipping their toes in the water, I might want to buy a house. Let me look at what's available. Now, instead of buying all of these purchase leads that are they're very wishy-washy on conversion. If you guys have bought leads from any lead source in the past, you know the cost of those leads change a lot every year, right? Well,
Yeah.
why do they change? Well, it's not 21 and 22 anymore where every lead is a converting lead. The markets change, and when leads convert less, the value of them are less, so these companies can sell them at a lower price because it takes you a lot more work to find a client typically. And so buying purchase mortgage leads is way different than controlling a funnel of 50 million views where they're at the inception of thought of buying. So imagine a company like ours that's interested in developing great relationships both with consumers and our business partners, having access to top of the funnel 50 million views where we can start to market, incubate, collect data, understand market trends, acquire clients that way. We're going to have to find a home for them. And one of the things our company's always done at a very high level is we've always retained our past clients better than anybody else in the industry. That's why we service loans, because our book of business, we retain 90% of our book of business. It's better than any other servicer in the country. And so if we can touch the top of the funnel, we know that we can take whatever they convert right now and we can 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x whatever their conversion is. And now, when those leads start to convert at a higher level, now we have all of these buyers that are going to need real estate agents. And we are going to need to have relationships that can support the business. Now you can start to see how the bigger picture comes together, where as our business grows, as we start to touch the top of the funnel at inception of thought of buying, we're going to need to have great relationships in place around the country where we can drive that business and convert it at a high level. And that business will convert better with a partner of ours than just placing it with any random real estate agent around the country. So
And
that's
this was kind of the meaning. One, to squash some rumors and stuff out there because things
yeah.
start going crazy when acquisitions start getting made. But then, guys, we've already talked, right? We have 8 different asset management companies now. And if you have the opportunity to get in on this ground floor level, right? It's kind of like if you wanted to get into REO, if you got in 2007 versus 2012, those are different businesses, right? When in 2007, you started capturing this market share. This is the opportunity with what Rocket Mortgage is doing is to build a relationship with them now, right? While all of this is being incubated, figuring out what needs to be done with it, etc., right? To be able to position yourself with that. You might be like, well, Larry, I like my loan officer. Great. Are they adding value to you? That would be my question, right? Like, that's like when somebody's like, oh, but I like my broker. Great. Have them go spend the last 20 years building the relationships, helping put this merger together with all of these companies and driving business to you, right? Like, you have my blessing. Or could there be a better partner? Could you have multiple partners, right? Like, there's going to be different needs for each of those. There's going to be some people that want to sit down with somebody local, and maybe Rocket Local doesn't even have a shop, right? Like, there's an abundance of business for everybody. But I think there's going to be such big opportunities with Rocket Mortgage, what they're putting together. If you guys have somebody else that can close something within 14 days, I think it's very few and far between. It's just not happening out there. And that's where I wanted to introduce you guys to Chris. He's doing some big things, with one of our team leaders out in Las Vegas on helping put together kind of this relocation channel and stuff like that. We got introduced, and I thought there was a lot of value. And I hope that you guys feel the same way. And, we got, a little less than 10 minutes and stuff left. So I want to open it up for questions. And Chris, I had your email handy. If you could put your phone number and stuff, like what's the best way for people to connect with you and stuff there, put it in the chat box. And guys, questions, comments, concerns that you have or that Chris can answer for you guys while we have him on.
Just popped it all in there for everybody.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any questions? Anybody want to know what's going on? Any insight from Chris's perspective?
Hey, Chris. Sorry, my camera's not on. I don't have a camera right now. But just a quick question for some of those agents, realtors that are currently licensed LOs.
Mhm.
How can we partner with Rocket? And is that possible?
Well, if you're a loan officer and you work for an independent brokerage, then you usually always have the opportunity to partner with Rocket TPO, which is our wholesale channel. That's another way that we've tried to be able to meet people where they're at. Sometimes working with us directly is great. Other times, if you want to work with a broker who's local, who has a lot of options, they always have the opportunity to place the loan with Rocket through our wholesale channel as well. One of the things that's really nice is our wholesale channel is broker centric. What I do for the company, since everything is referral based, I get similar pricing to a wholesale lender. So my interest rates are typically 1.5 to 2 points cheaper than if they called Rocket directly, which I sell as a benefit of you because you referred them over. So we do hand in hand stuff with TPO all the time. And to be candid with you, I would love to help everybody I can selfishly. That'd be great, obviously, for my personal business. But unselfishly, if you can send a loan to Rocket, as a company, we don't care how it comes to us. If you're an independent broker and you're licensed LO, if you can broker it to Rocket TPO, great. We love to work with clients and love to have the business in that avenue, or we love to have it coming directly through Rocket. If you are a partner with TPO and you do broker loans to us as a licensed originator, again, I can just imagine how all of this stuff coming together will benefit you in the long run too. At the end of the day, we want, just like I do personally as a company, we want good relationships where we're invested in each other's success. And if you've been a great partner of us through the company or through individuals, we've always tried to find ways to take care of you. And so, to Larry's point, any way you can find a way to show that you're aligned and you really want to see us do well and we want to see you do well and that relationship is established, there's always going to be benefit, but these acquisitions are just going to benefit us all even more. So broker your loans through TPO if you can. That would be a great way to establish the relationship and create a great relationship with an account executive. Just try to bring the business to us directly if you can. And if you can't and you want a licensed loan officer like me who works here to help, then reach out to me and I can help them. Whatever makes the most sense. But at the end of the day, as long as we're doing business with you, we're doing business with you. And all of this should benefit everybody that's a great partner, would be my thought.
Beautiful.
Thank
And I
you.
see that Nate, who I know that we're building some things with and stuff there, wants you to talk about the rental program. Can you give everybody a highlight on that?
Yeah, he's talking. So we rolled out a program last month where we will take 10% of the annual rent that somebody is paying and give it back to them as a lender credit. So it has a cap of $5,000, but if you have two renters who are paying, $25,000 a year in rent, which is about 2 grand a month. Let's say you have a engaged couple and they're going to be buying their first home together. We can take both of their rent and give them credit 10% to equal 5 grand. So in addition to the 1.5 to 2 points cheaper every rate is for me, which is a huge discount. Our pricing is incredible going through local. We can also stack things on. So we can stack on the rent rewards, which could get a client up to $5,000 off their closing cost, in addition to the pricing that I can offer them. So one of the things that Nate and I have been talking about is trying to get some flyers together, which we have, that are co-branded with both of us, and we're going to start marketing to local high-end, like apartment buildings. So if you have apartment buildings where there's a lot of renters, send a program like this out with your information on it as well and show them, hey, if you're renting and you want to be a homeowner, reach out to us. We can turn that money that you thought was wasted from renting, we can at least turn some of it back into money for you to help it become cheaper to purchase a home. In addition to that program, we offer other programs that are like 2% grants towards your down payment and closing cost. That one is for loan amounts up to 350,000. There are some income limits on that one, so you can't be way above the average in the area, but it's open to quite a few people. So based on your price point, if you're in DC, $350,000 loan amount cap, probably not going to, use that too much. But if you're in an area where people are buying and their loans are around 350 or less, that's an incredible program for a lot of people, and they're all conventional loans. One of the things you'll find is we don't dabble into a lot of the zero down. You can come in and buy a house with no money, but what we tend to do is we tend to focus a lot on conventional buyers who are typically stronger with credit, and we try to incentivize them with certain things that we can do to have a good, well-qualified, safer client. Not somebody who's like, hey, I'm FHA 620. Can I get this grant program where like I have no money out of pocket and it's a lien on my title and I'm over collateralized and probably shouldn't be buying a house to begin with. Like we try to focus on helping everybody home, but we try to do it in a way where we can help with credit, we can help with rewards for buying the home, we can help lighten the cash out of pocket. But we also want to make sure that we help the clients qualify the best possible and give you the best buyer possible, which makes the highest likelihood of closing. So a lot of the programs we have are conventional grants, but the rent rewards works for VA, works for FHA, works for everybody. So the rent rewards program is huge.
And knowing programs like this helps you stand out amongst your clients, right? Like, oh, what if I could help get you up to, like, if you know they're renting, but if I could help you get up to $5,000 in additional credit, right? Like, those are conversation starters that other agents aren't having. And this is where we just need to be armed and stuff with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Richard
yeah.
asked a great question. Do we have a local MLO? How do we know? You can reach out to me directly. We have loan officers all over the place, and I'm not I'm certainly not a stingy person. Most of what I do in developing my business these days is candidly, I develop a lot of business for my team. And so if you have somebody that's local in your community, if you reach out to me, I am more than happy to introduce you. I'm not like, no, you should use me. No, if you reach out and you say, hey, here's the area that I'm in, I'll find out if we have somebody that's local and I'll do an introduction for you. Absolutely. I even introduced Larry to one of my guys that's local down there in Texas, is Dallas Fort Worth area. Because Larry might need somebody who can show up on a dime and like, listen, I'm always happy to fly out and come see people, but if you need somebody boots on the ground that's right there, I wanted Larry to have somebody that I know, that I trust, that I like working with, that is right there. And he runs a small team down in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So if you need a local contact, let me know. And in addition to that, we are also hiring. So if you have a loan officer, you're like, oh, but I love who I'm working with, but Rocket can close in 2 weeks or less, and they have all these programs, and like, man, I could put my brand with like their brand, and it's recognizable, and like, I would love if I could do that, but I don't want to leave my loan officer behind. Find out if they're incredibly happy. Find out if they're open to a conversation with us, because we're hiring, and we'd be happy to hire your local guy that you love working with if you believe that they run an organic business and they do a really, really good job. That's who we're looking for. We want to bring people on and we want to have people in the community. So if we don't have somebody in your area, introduce me. I'll connect them with the right people. We'll interview them. And, honestly, once we bring people up to Detroit, and I mentioned to Nate, who I'm working with, and Larry, I wanted to throw this out to you too. We got to get you guys up here at some point to see the city and see the operation and see who works behind the scenes. Because I'll tell you what, the people that we talk to that we're looking at hiring, the skeptics become believers when they come up and see the people that we work with and the care and compassion that goes into what we're doing. I haven't had a single person leave and not be over the top impressed with the way we have things set up. And so if you need a local loan officer, reach out and let me know. If you are interested in chat with me directly about growing business, reach out and let me know. If you have somebody that you work with now that you love, reach out and let me know. We'd love to talk to them, and we're growing consistently.
Beautiful. Well, guys, we are over time. Cecilia, I know that you have a question. I actually have another meeting that I have to get on, so I'm going to have to shut this down. But I encourage you, grab Chris's contact information, which is in the chat. reach out to him and we can make sure that we get through everything. Chris, I appreciate your time this morning. Guys, I hope this added some value to you, got your wheels turning on how you build better relationships, how you have better partners and everything else. And make sure that you guys reach out to Chris. He can answer any of your rocket related questions and stuff there. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day, guys.